What is going on, everybody? It is your favorite everything. This is JR Wisdom back at you with another episode of the Atlanta Noire Podcast. And today I have a very special guest. This young lady right here is a staple in the Atlanta scene, Chicago scene, also the Charlotte scene. And many of you may recognize her. But without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it and get into her background and learn a little bit about Miss Bobbie Robinson. Bobbie, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate this. This is dope to have someone so special in the studio here and get to find out a little bit more about you and your come up. How was the drive over here, by the way?
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad?
No. I'm only like 5 minutes away. So it's
Really?
good. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's even better. That's even better.
Exactly, especially with this crazy
For sure.
Atlanta traffic.
I know, and parking is crazy, but yeah. I'm glad you made it, though, God willing. So we're going to start at the beginning. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I moved here in 2012.
2012. Now, I know folks from Chicago, just like a lot of these other cities, they got to shout out the part of Chicago that they're from. So I'm surprised you ain't said it. What part of Chicago are you from? Because I know people are probably curious.
South Side.
Okay,
So that's how we got to say it.
Man, so I don't think I've ever met somebody that's not from South Side.
Of course,
Yeah.
that's the best side.
That's the best side.
Yeah.
Because I've always heard of what are the towns outside? Was it Englewood? Is it Englewood?
Oh, that's on the south side.
That's on the south side? Okay.
So it's like little neighborhoods that's on the south
Right.
side, on the west side, any place, just same as it is here in Atlanta.
Right.
How they have the different areas.
Got you. So how long were you you said you moved here in 2012. How long were you living in Chicago before? Did you move somewhere else before or?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. I lived in Jackson, Mississippi for 9 long years. I went to
Okay.
Jackson State.
Okay.
And when I graduated Jackson State in 95, I stayed there because I got a job offer. And I stayed there for like 4 or 5 additional years. And after that, I moved back to Chicago. I just couldn't take Jackson, Mississippi that much longer. It was
What's wrong with Jackson?
too damn boring. It was just nothing to do. It was the bomb when
It's
I
a
was in
gambling
college.
down there though, right?
Yes, it is.
It
In
is?
Vicksburg, only like a 30-minute drive from Jackson.
Right.
But it was fun when I was in college because it was nothing but a big party.
Mm-hmm.
But when I graduated, I got a job offer. Everybody started moving away, doing their own thing. And then I had just a couple of friends, and it started dwindling down to just one friend. I was like, okay, I got to get up out of here. So I moved to Chicago and started my self-employment career.
Got you. So you left Chicago to attend college. Was that the first time you left?
Yes.
Okay. So what was it like for you growing up in Chicago? Because we hear the things about the South Side and the things going on with gangland and Chirac and all these different things. What was it like for you growing up?
Oh, it was like that.
It was like that back then?
Yeah, on the south side. It was kind of rough where I'm from. It may not seem like I grew up in that environment, but
Right.
yeah, it was definitely. I've seen people got shot in front of me, just family members getting robbed a lot. You just had to be very careful in Chicago. And I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. So that's why I've just got that type of work ethic where I just got to go. And a lot of people are from Chicago. Just got that type of, a lot of them that I know, that work ethic where you just go.
So what do you say is, because you'll hear people say, I'm from Chicago, or just like people from New York, I'm from Chicago. What is it that makes Chicago people so different other than what you just said? They got that go. They are go-getters.
Well, first, I'm 51 years old. So during
wow.
the time when I was raised, all our neighbors were family. And everybody was working hard because we didn't grow up in the best neighborhoods. So people always had several jobs. My mother had several jobs, and she was a straight-up hustler. And so she ended up owning her own lounge. And then along with doing that, she was doing so many other things. And so I just grew up just around nothing but people that had really, really good work ethic. And that's what everyone I know in Chicago was like that, for the most part.
So I would ask you, going into asking you how you were in high school, but I noticed you said something about you were on your own since 15. What happened to cause that shift as far as you being on your own?
Well, my mom and I really didn't get along too well.
Right.
And my mother led like a party lifestyle.
Got you.
And so I ran away maybe about 15, 20 times at least. And I think like the last time I ran away, she was like,
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. You can keep your ass out there in the street. And so during that time, I think I was a sophomore. I moved to Madison, Wisconsin when I was 15 years old. I lived with my cousin. She had just graduated college.
Okay.
And so I got me a job, my first job at Arby's, because she didn't have the money to take care of both of us.
Right.
That was my little way of paying for myself.
Got you.
And so then after a year of living in Wisconsin, she moved to Chicago. I had to move back, but I couldn't go back with my mom. So I just stayed from house to house,
Gotcha.
place to place, and wherever I can lay my head. And they used to call me the bag girl because everywhere I went, I had like 3-4 bags with me because I didn't know where I was going to sleep.
And all this time you was in school, going to high school?
And had a full-time job.
Full-time job. And so you finished, what type of, other than obviously you were on your own, how would you describe yourself back when you were in high school?
Just trying to survive. During that time, I was surrounded by a lot of drug dealers. I dated a drug dealer because he used to give me money.
Right.
And so I stayed at friends' houses. And the reason why I went to Jackson, Mississippi and to college is because I just had to get away from Chicago. It was just too much going on. I was unstable. And Jackson, Mississippi was like one of the only places that I can go where the tuition was affordable.
Okay.
So that's why I went to Jackson State. So at least if I stay in a dorm or whatever, I can have a place I can lay my head in.
Right.
So that's why I went there.
Okay. So, like you said, fast forward down. How was college years, though?
Oh, the most fun I've ever had in my life. Had to remember why I was there, just to get an education.
Now, is that, because I know that's one of those places, I think, just like if you live up north, you got family down south or whatever. So you had no family in Mississippi?
Actually, my father, he
Your
lived
father?
in
Okay.
a smaller town. I didn't have much of a relationship with him because I wasn't seeing him too often.
Right.
But when I moved there, we started to develop a relationship, and so I would see him a little bit more then.
Cool.
But even when I was in college, I actually had 4 jobs at one time. I just got so addicted to just working and making money that that kind of overtook me, and I just had to remember why I was in college, and so I had to quit a few jobs and just focus on just that one job in school.
Now, you graduated, right?
Yes.
And what was your degree in?
Business finance.
Business finance. So you moved back to Chicago. Did you have a plan when you moved back? Because I know you said you got tired of being born down there in Mississippi. Did you have a plan when you were moving back?
Well, I got a job at Wells Fargo as a credit manager
Right.
in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Now, I was trying to get a transfer with my job and back to Chicago because, like I said, Mississippi was just straight up boring. But each time that I met with the district manager, he was like, okay, we're working on you moving. We're working on you moving. And I was doing very well. And really what it was is they didn't want to let me go. They did not want to move me. So the day I put in my resignation, it was the same day that the regional manager in Illinois called me and said that he had a position that they made just for me, and I'll be moving in the north suburb from Chicago. They was excited about it and to see the potential of what I can do. And I was thinking, I've been working for this company for 4 years, being straight up unhappy. And the same day I put in my resignation, this man I never met before called me and said that he had the job position that they made just for me. I said, no. I said, I'm going to go ahead and quit. And I did not know what I was going to do, but I went to Chicago unemployed. It was just a principle at that matter, because that this big company, they didn't care anything about me. It's just making their pockets fat.
So with that, they wouldn't transfer. So you end up in Chicago, basically starting from scratch.
Yes.
So what happens from there?
So I end up getting a job at a mortgage company, and I was a mortgage broker, and I worked strictly off commission. So I worked there for about 6 months, and they promoted me to being a manager. And then, in all, I was there for maybe a couple of years. And at that time, I realized something I really did like and enjoy. So I wanted to eventually have my own mortgage company.
For sure.
So I put in paperwork, and I got approved for my own mortgage company. I was scared to jump out there. So the mortgage company I was working for, they got their license temporarily suspended. And when that happened, that kind of forced me to go ahead and do my own thing. So I opened up my own mortgage company. And that was, I believe I was like 28, 29 when that happened. And then I started buying a lot of property, and things were going real good for me. But in 2008, when the market crashed, I crashed. Because everything I had was in the real estate business.
Yeah.
I owned 10 properties at the time. I owned some 6 units, 4 units, some duplexes, some houses. And so many of my tenants didn't have the money to pay their rent. So I got behind on my mortgage payments. I was able to sell a few. Some of them went to foreclosure. So I just lost it all. And that taught me a very valuable lesson was to diversify.
Yes.
Because I was doing so well, I just put everything into real estate.
Absolutely.
I didn't look at anything else. But if I would have put that money into something totally different, it wouldn't have been so bad because maybe I could have had this backup plan with other things
Facts.
going on. So that's what that taught me. So when the market crashed, I had a little money, and then I had to partner up with somebody. We wanted to do something, and that's when I came across the Harold's Chicken, and I thought about, okay, if we put this in another state, people that's from Chicago, we're about our Chicago food.
Yeah.
Anybody that's from Chicago, the first thing we do is we hit Harold's Chicken, we hit Giordano's, White Castle, just some of the staples in the community. And so we did the research, saw as a real good Chicago presence in Atlanta. So, and then I knew, like I was talking to you earlier about my mother owning the lounge. And in Chicago, there are like lounges on every other block. And what people used to do was go get the Harold's Chicken and they would eat it at the lounge. And so I was like, okay, well, now if we go ahead and we combine this liquor with this chicken, that's the liquor, and that's just what we did.
Right.
And you know, in Atlanta, they got to turn everything up, turn everything into a party.
Right.
So we bought the hookah, got the alcohol, the chicken. It's a whole Club Harold's at nighttime.
So the Harold's Chicken, they don't serve alcohol in Chicago?
No.
Okay. So why Atlanta?
That's just, it's a place that I always wanted to be. I remember coming to Atlanta to visit when I was in college, coming to Freaknik and just just going through Buckhead and coming to the just a lot of areas and looking at the big, beautiful houses and just seeing my people living like this. And I was like, oh my God, it was just a dream just for me to be here and just to kind of live like the people that I saw and that I dreamed about. You just kind of made steps towards that.
Nice. This was 2012 when you did that, or what year was this?
When I opened up my first Harold's Chicken.
So when did you move down here?
2012.
So you moved down here and opened the same year?
Well, I started the process 3 years. It took us 3 years to open because I was still living in Chicago. My business partner at the time and we were sending money to the contractors to do the work.
Right.
And lo and behold, they were not doing the work. They was taking our money. And so we ran out of money and the work wasn't done. So we borrowed money from so many people. We got loans. We finally opened up 3 years after we started. We were a year past doing rent. We owed so many people. It was like we were set up for failure. So in order to have some type of conscience about us borrowing this money, for like 2.5, 3 years, my business partner and I paid ourselves $1,000 a month for almost 3 years because we had so much debt that we had to just pay people. And so during that time, I lived with rented a room from somebody in Craigslist, and then we would alternate weeks. I would work a week, my business partner worked a week from open to close, and at the time I was married. My husband worked for the airline, so I would fly back and forth every other week because I had a daughter. And so I would only spend every other week with my daughter.
So he was still up in Chicago?
Yeah, he was still in Chicago.
So you were down here renting a room, y'all alternating. How much? So this was at the point, this was while it was open or before it was open?
That was while it was open.
And how many did you have as far as your staff?
Staff, I
didn't you and
have
her?
too many. It was probably maybe like 12 of us at the time.
Gotcha.
Because I had cooks, servers, bartenders, and then we were the only managers. We didn't have any it was just us.
And what location was this?
Edgewood.
Edgewood, okay.
Yeah, we couldn't afford to pay any managers at the time. Like I said, we barely able to afford to pay us. We paid our staff more than we were getting paid. And I was only married for maybe like 6 months while I had that restaurant open. Married for years, but just didn't survive. And so I moved in with my aunt, my daughter. And so when I would go to Chicago, I would just stay with my aunt. Yeah, and she was watching my daughter when I worked in Atlanta.
So, Bobbie, you were going back and forth, and then basically 6 months of being down here in Atlanta, things didn't go like they should. And you said your aunt, you said when you would go back to...
Yes, my marriage failed, and I lived with my aunt. So I lived with her for about 2.5 years, and then I rented a room for about 3 years in Atlanta. And so I just didn't want to move my daughter. First of all, I really couldn't afford to move my daughter to Atlanta. And then she was only like 3 years old at the time.
Gotcha.
And then I just didn't trust anybody to watch her until she could tell me everything that was going on.
Gotcha.
So once she entered kindergarten, I moved her here, got me a small little place, and we lived there for about 7 years. And I do this thing called Motivational Mondays on my social media because I've been through a lot and I learned from my experiences, and I mentor a lot of young people. And the thing that just disturbs me, especially being here in Atlanta, is that there's so many perpetrators here. People love looking like they got so much and they doing so much, and they spending every little penny trying to have this look, trying to impress other people, when really they messing up their own future. So when I moved my daughter down here, I found a place that was only $750 a month. And I lived there for 7 years. My rent went up to like $1,000. My employees all this time was paying more money in rent. Now, during that time, like I said, the first 3 years, my business partner and we only paid ourselves $1,000 a month.
Right.
But after 3 years, it's like God put you through these tests to
Indeed.
see if you're going to give up, to see how you're going to react, if you're going to crack under pressure. And we've been through some of everything. I have definitely been through a lot. And it's like after 3 years, God said, the money, it didn't start trickling in. It started pouring in. We were making so much money, I thought I was dreaming. It's like God blessed us and said, that's what you get for staying the course. And it's just a living testimony. That's why I tell, and even though we were making so much money, I still stayed in that place. That was only paying $1,000 a month. Lived there for 7 years. I didn't have no car note. I was still driving around my 2 old cars I was driving. I was saving so much money, it felt like I was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
It was good to see all that money just stack up, absolutely no bills.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to teach these young people that work for me, because they're too busy trying to impress people,
Right.
trying to live in Buckhead, paying maximum amount of rent. And I'm over here living much less than what they paying. And not only that, but I'm storing stuff in my apartment for the restaurant. Me and my daughter, we got to move like this in the living room because I got boxes of stuff for the restaurant to save. And I didn't have to do that. I could have paid some extra money for some storage and stuff like that. But at that time, I just got addicted to saving. But they just don't have that type of value to see, not just living for today, but living for tomorrow.
And I'm glad you went into that, because that was a question I was going to ask you, but you already covered it as far as appearances. And it seems like you ever have like a conversation or you watching something earlier in the day and it just comes up casually in a conversation later, and you can be like, man, this person is like reading my mind, or what we were just talking about. So exactly what you're saying in terms of the appearance and living above your means and things like that. You going into the restaurant business. Now, a lot of folks, especially where I'm from as well, they want to get into that business and they hear about the failure rate. I don't know the percentages of within the first few years or whatever, and as far as the profit margin and all those things like that. But was that something that you were concerned about, or you just already knew, because this is Harold's Chicken, I'm throwing some sauce on it with the libations and the spirits up in here, I know it's going to jump off. Did you have any reservations or any concerns, or you just already knew that it was going to be jumping?
Well, I'm the type of entrepreneur that will live in my car in order to follow my dreams. And I betted on myself. Everything that I've ever did, I've done real well, because I will work extremely hard, get no sleep, to accomplish whatever I'm trying to accomplish. So yeah, I was nervous, but scared, no. I was just nervous. Even though because I had doubts even the 3 years that I was working, making just $1,000 a month. The average person would have gave up. Who can live off that?
Right.
But I didn't buy no clothes. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything for the entire time. I couldn't afford it. I was just laser focused. I didn't have no personal life. I didn't date anybody. It was just laser focused.
But 3 years, Bobbie? You ain't date nobody?
No.
Damn.
Not at all.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
But I was just laser focused. And everything that I did, of course, I made plenty of bad moves too, and bad decisions. That's life, but you learn from them. And they're the best lessons that you can have are those mistakes that you make. And so, but everything that I did, it paid off. So I have no doubts on what I did. And just to also say as far as the failure rate, 80% of restaurants that open within the first 2 years, they fail within the first 2 years.
There you go.
80% of restaurants. So you have that small margin. I see it all the time, restaurants open and close. But the difference is how to make your business successful is that you got to be there as an owner. You have to know everything that's going on. The thing that helped me is I was already in the restaurant business, but as a server. So I saw little sneaky things the servers and bartenders did. I knew as far as the front of the house, I did not know the back of the house, the business part of it, how to make it successful. But I studied that. When it was my week that I worked from open to close. During that time, there was no Uber. So on the weekends, we closed at 3 a.m. I would have to drive 3 to the cook's home every Friday and Saturday, get 2 hours of sleep, and have to be right back at work the next day. I have bags under my ass. But you got to do what you got to do in order to get to where you're trying to go.
Right.
So it's the people that me and my business partner, we are the ones that made it successful because of the time that we put into it. I'm so glad those days are over with.
Yeah. I dated a restaurant owner one time. She owned, she started out kind of like what you did. And she would tell me exact stuff you saying. Like when she started out with one, I think she eventually expanded to 3. And like she would sleep at the restaurant.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it was for her. She had her own little thing in the back and sleep in there. So Bobbie, at what point did you decide to start expanding?
Well, I knew that eventually I wanted to work smart, not work so hard. And I know in order for that to happen, I needed to expand my business. So 5 years after I had my first location, which I had a business partner, I opened up my second location by myself, which is in Marietta, Georgia. My first one was in Edgewood. And then after that, that's when I started developing, getting more of a team. And then I opened up my Duluth location, I think maybe 3 years after that. And then I was able, after I opened up my Duluth location, I was able to step away more because I had management in place. I had my district manager. And then my cousin who had raised me, she had moved from Chicago to Atlanta to help me out. And she's my operations manager. And then after that, as soon as I opened up my third one, I opened up my fourth restaurant with my brother in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was living in New Jersey. He had him a diner, so I agreed to do another Harold's with him, and so he moved to Charlotte.
Got it. Man, this was just in a matter of what, you said 5 years of you doing all this?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was able to just get it back to back, and that's because of the sacrifice that I put in from the very beginning. I didn't care about how people perceived me because I remember I drove up to my Edgewood location. I'm thinking maybe this was like 5 years ago, and one of my longtime customers was in the back, and I drove up in my old Mercedes and I parked, and he was like, "Hey, Bobbie, how you doing?" And he said, "Is that your whip?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I thought you'd be driving a different whip." I said, "No, I like having to pay for a vehicle." And I'm thinking to myself, you shouldn't be defined over what you drive because at that time I had a whole lot of money saved up. I'm thinking to myself, man, my daughter got more money in her bank account than he got. But it's a shame that we think that way. So at that time I was able to have more assets because I saved so much money. I saved up several $1 million. And so I was able to go ahead and open up my third restaurant, my fourth restaurant. I bought me a house. The house of my dreams. So I was able to do all, and then I bought me a car. I bought me 2 vehicles. So I did all of this back to back to back because of the foundation that I put in that allowed me to do everything so quickly after that. So no, I'm no overnight success. It didn't just happen like that. People didn't see all the grind, the blood, the sweat, and the tears when I laid that foundation. They just see me now.
Right. So that's dope you said that, as far as you chose not to invest in a depreciating asset early on, like vehicles that other people who don't know any better, who are just like, as you said, into the glitz and the glam, figure like you're so successful, you should have something to visibly show for it, tangibly. Little do they know all along. What they say, somebody said something about real wealth is quiet or something like that, instead of flashy.
When you flashy, you loud.
Yeah, you loud for, and it's
the
not
difference anyway between being rich and being wealthy.
for sure.
And you got to put your money into assets, something that appreciates, not depreciates. And there's nothing wrong with having nice vehicles and things like that, but do it when you are really ready.
You saying invest in.
But the problem with people is that they, as soon as they get some money, they got to show that they got
Yeah.
it. They got to buy this big expensive car, and then they pulling it up into somebody's house that they staying at, or their parents, or they pulling it up into an apartment with no garage, and clearly that car needs to be in a garage.
For sure.
So it's like getting your priorities in line, because that stuff will come, but do it when you're really ready, because you really cannot get ahead in life if you just being able to meet the bills. If you just paying for your car note, for your apartment, you ain't got nothing to save, and you're not working towards anything. It's like you got to think, where do I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? You can't just live for today, else that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, just living for today.
So we're going to change gears a little bit here, Bobbie, because I know you were talking about those first 3 years you were getting everything off the ground. So you went through this divorce. I'm assuming it didn't really hurt you too much financially as far as your divorce.
Not really, because
Yeah.
I was really building at the time.
Got you. So at what point did you say, okay, I'm ready to get back and start dating or start seeing people?
I really never get like that.
Never? Okay.
Things just kind of
Casually happen?
Yeah. I'm not the type of woman that want to be married. That like, okay, I need to get married. I'm looking for Mr. Right or whatever.
Yeah.
When it comes, it comes.
Right.
In actuality, I really don't want to get married. I'm okay with just living and shacking.
Some women are like that, and that's perfectly fine. At what point did you know that while you were married, or did you, once you got divorced, you were like, I'm cool with just being like this?
I've never been the one to really want to get married.
Gotcha.
I got married before because I did want to have a child. And so I wanted to do things the right way. And so it was just the timing.
Gotcha.
When it happened, because I was in my 30s, I was an older parent.
Right.
Because when I had my daughter, it said geriatric pregnancy on my bed. I just did it because I didn't want my eggs to freeze up.
Got you.
But after I've been there, done that, and I don't want to be in a relationship just to say I'm in a relationship. Because
Right.
I've been in relationships, I was just miserable. So I'm happy. I'm at peace. And I think that so many women jump into things without really truly getting to know them. And you have to be good with you before you can be good to somebody else.
Right. Was it difficult meeting someone as an entrepreneur or as a woman who's self-employed and so successful?
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
First off, timing in life is everything.
For sure.
And I closed myself off for so many years because when I was building, if I dated someone, I just figured I wouldn't be a good girlfriend. And the reason why is because I would either have to take away time from my business or time from my daughter. And I wasn't willing to do either or. So if I fit somebody in the mix, they were going to be lacking, because I think that when you're in a relationship, it's a give and take. I have to do things to please him, and he needs to do things to please me. And if I didn't give up my time the way that he wanted me to, I don't think that that'd be good for him, and I just couldn't be a good girlfriend. I wasn't definitely not willing to sacrifice that time with my daughter, and if I sacrificed that time with my business, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. Now times have changed, and I have a lot more time, but it's still timing. So it just hadn't worked out like that, because I've met quite a number of good guys that I just did not give an opportunity to. Because my focus was strictly on where it should have been in order to get me to where I am now.
Got you. So at that moment, you had to be selfish, so to speak. Well, basically just to say, I have a goal in mind. I'm not about to get sidetracked with love.
Yeah, I had to, because I was married and it didn't work out. And I don't know if I looked at my personal life as far as negative, because I said, okay, if I sacrifice my time at my business to spend time getting to know this person, I can eventually not be with this person, and here my business kind of messed up because I'm over here trying to get my personal life together when I should have been focusing on my business. So I don't know. I can't predict the future as far as what I should have done. I just know where I had to be for myself and for my daughter to make me happy.
Gotcha.
Now I'm established, I can go ahead and do things where, for me, because right now I'm doing me. I'm feeling better, I'm looking better because I'm getting my rest now, I'm working out all the time, but still fitting somebody into my life where I got 4 restaurants, and then I'm about to venture into a new business. I close on my first daycare in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
And so that's something that I got to spend a whole lot of time doing. I got to be in there every day for a while. I got to learn everything about this business because it's already existing. I'm just buying it, taking it over. Can I fit somebody in? I still think I really would not be a good girlfriend right at this moment until I know what I'm doing, because I believe before you can really step away from the business, you have to master it.
Right. So diversifying the portfolio right now. And so as far as it's not really, from what I'm gathering from you, it's not really complaints on the men here in Atlanta.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
just
say that.
okay. What's your thoughts on the men here? Because I've asked a lot of ladies on here, is this a man's playground? Or men just full of games? I know you say you met a few good guys, or maybe a lot of good guys you didn't give a chance to. But what's your overall take on men here in Atlanta?
Well, I have been in a couple of relationships here. I'm
Right.
not saying that I haven't. It just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that, of course, men got plenty of options. Plenty. It is their playground.
Okay.
We don't have as many good options. And I guess men can say that too, as far as good quality women,
Right.
because so many women want a man to take care of them,
Mm-hmm.
what they can do for them, and they don't say what they can do for a man. I think that every relationship is 50-50
Mm-hmm.
in what you can do. With me, I'm just really, really picky. I'm not saying that I'm closed off to anyone. It just has to happen organically.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just really picky because I believe everybody's time is valuable.
Right.
And with me doing what I do and being in the position that I'm in, I have to be careful with the way that I do things, because I am a boss that I have about 150 people that work for me. So I'm very, like, I'm really laid back. I don't like to argue.
For
so
sure.
I don't want any man to think that, I make sure that no man can say that I'm dominating. Because first of all, I have to be a boss at work, but when I come home, I just want to be a girl.
That's right.
I just want to take my boss hat off. I want to not think. I want my man to do the thinking for me. So it just has to be the right type of, the right man. And then it cannot be intimidated with what I have as well, because I've accumulated a lot. So it has to be someone that is confident within themselves to handle that, and not anybody that's thinking because of what I have that I'm dominating, because I'm very cognizant that to make sure that I am not. Because masculine energy is real for
That's
women.
well said. That's
because I know I got some masculine energy, but I make sure that, and it took me a while to really realize these things about myself. When you in your 20s, your 30s, you're still kind of figuring things out, but I'm 51 years old. And I don't have it all figured out, but I've figured out a lot. Communication is so very important, because the reason why a lot of relationships fail is because people don't communicate as far as what they like.
Absolutely.
They can be with somebody and don't really like something about them, but scared to talk about it. Like, you don't like to talk about sex. You're supposed to automatically know how to please this person when everybody's body is different.
Thank you.
So if you like certain things, we need to talk about it, because I want you to please me 100%.
100.
So let's have this conversation. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but we have to have it, because if we're together, I want to be the happiest I can with
Exactly.
you, and vice versa. What do you like? Because I'm not going to automatically do those little things that you like. I can't read your mind. I'm not going to automatically know. Sometimes it can happen organically, but it's not going to happen like that with everybody. So that's where those uncomfortable conversations have to happen if you want that relationship to work.
Bobbie, you said a mouthful. I appreciate you saying that. You just laid out a whole lot of, and that comes with experience, knowledge, and wisdom for a woman to say something like that, which is, you're spot on. That's just some of the same stuff that I say a lot. So
let me just give you this example too. Like, it's hard to tell somebody that they breath stink. So I was with somebody not too long ago, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I tell this person? So I told this person, I said, when you haven't eaten anything all day and you're not talking, or you hadn't drank anything, sometimes that can cause a little tartness in your mouth. And you didn't eat anything today, did you? And so this person's like, you trying to tell me my breast? I said, yeah.
This is a man?
So, no.
This is a woman? Okay. Got you. Okay.
But I would.
That's the worst.
I'm with somebody, yeah. But if I'm dating somebody, I would definitely have to say something, because that's being real. That's caring about a person. But it's how you say things as well, because you can say things out of anger and hurt people's feelings. And no matter what type of ships that you in, friendship, relationship, you got to have these conversations. Because first of all, if you my man and your breath is a little tart and we're about to hit these streets, Dude.
I can't lay next to you if your breath stink. Like, I can't. So you
But
can't.
have you ever told anybody?
I've had to tell before. I've had to say things because sometimes women don't know. And you know what I'm talking about. Everybody can know what I'm talking about. Sometimes women don't know and you have to tell them. But I always try to be aware. But some people, it just doesn't happen like that. And I know the usual way is like in turn, when you talk about breath, is pulling out that stick of gum and be like, hey, like that. But that doesn't fix the problem. If this is a routine, funky, hot breath person that you're dealing with.
Well, this
You know.
person this never happened, and so I told this
Gotcha.
person to make her cognizant of it.
Gotcha.
But it was a time when I'm a breast cancer survivor, and after I went through radiation and everything, I'm trying to do things natural, so I'm trying to figure things out. So I stopped wearing deodorant where I would use maybe certain
Aluminum.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I was just really careful. I wasn't even using deodorant. I was just using just certain like a little oil.
Gotcha.
Type, really natural. And I was dating somebody at the time. And I know I was funky this one particular time. So my district manager pulled me aside. She said, oh, you kind of smell. I was like, oh, thanks for telling me. And so I was talking to the person who I was dating. He said, yeah, I did smell you.
You got to tell a woman, but go ahead.
I said,
Yeah.
how come you didn't tell me? I said, you should have told. He said, I didn't know how you was going to take it. I said, I will take it just fine. Just let me know, because I can accept constructive criticism.
Yeah.
As long as you don't say it all nasty, I am okay. So I appreciated her telling me. And after the end, I just
You went back to the deodorant?
Heck yeah. It was aluminum free.
Yeah, aluminum
but, you know,
free,
I said,
yeah.
I tried it, but I just couldn't do it no more.
Yeah, well, congratulations on beating cancer. My son, a lot of people don't know because I haven't really talked about it. I have a 21-year-old son. He had Hodgkin's lymphoma for 2 years, and he just got his port removed. I don't know if you had a port. Did you have a port? Yeah, so
My mother did.
Yeah, so he had a port like right at his collarbone.
Right.
So he just got it removed last month, but he's been cancer free for a year now.
Good.
So yeah, I definitely know that. Just seeing it, I don't know what it's like to have it, but just being a parent of someone who did that, I know it's not especially going through chemo, it's not a
Yeah.
good thing for sure.
Right,
So
exactly.
congratulations for being here with us. So I don't want to hold you much longer. So what would you say, what advice would you give to anyone? And I know you're a motivational speaker. What advice would you give to anyone who's looking to move to Atlanta to change their life?
First of all, Atlanta is overcrowded, so I don't know if you want to move here, but if you do, we welcome you. But no matter where you go, depending on what you do, and I've said this on social media before, there's no perfect time to do anything. I think that you can be successful in whatever you do if you put everything into it. Now, don't be afraid to fail. And if you fail, that's a part of the process. But don't give up. You got to learn from those mistakes. Things happen for a reason.
100.
I share my story with a lot of people because I have a felony. And to do so many things of what I'm doing, I got to go through background checks. I don't get approved for it, so I got to work harder, work smarter. I got to jump through all kind of hoops to bypass my felony conviction. But it just made me stronger and wiser, and it made me more determined to prove myself. So no matter what you're trying to do, just don't give up. It's never a good time to do anything. Just do it. Don't think that, okay, I got to wait till this is perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. You just got to do it.
Well said, Bobbie. I appreciate that. Any final words?
No, just thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
So I have 4 locations. My first one's in Edgewood. That's been open for 12 years. Marietta, Georgia. That's on Roswell Road. Then it's Duluth, and that is on Pleasant Hill. And then Charlotte, if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, please come check me out. And like I said, I am about to be in this daycare business. So I close my first daycare in the next few weeks. It's going to be my first of several. And then after that, it's going to be other things. But like I said, my closing remarks is to diversify as well.
That's right.
If I can tell anybody anything, don't do too much at one time, because you will never really reach the next level if you all over the place. So you got to focus on one thing, master that one thing, become real good at it, work smart. If you can grow to a point where you have other people take it over, where you can step away, then you can diversify. But you got to master that one thing first before you can move on. But definitely diversify, because if something don't go so good or something slow, if you don't have money coming in on that one thing, you have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G that you have as a backup in addition to that. So that's what I've learned from my life experiences.
Gotcha. Where can they follow you on social media for both you or your restaurants?
My personal is Miss Bobbie, Bobbier, and then my restaurants is, I guess I just give one out, at Harold's Marietta Ice Bar.
Right. And we'll have it in the description of this video too, so you guys can check it out. If you guys haven't had Harold's Chicken, for sure. But obviously, like Miss Bobbie said, it's Harold's Chicken and Ice Bar with the sauce on it, so for sure. But
Yeah, you got to know how to have it now. Mound sauce, salt and pepper. You guys got to check it out because Chicago is known for the food, and you know, Atlanta is a big melting pot.
I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm going tomorrow. I hate to say it.
You never been there?
I had some. Somebody had got some to go one time, but I haven't actually dined in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but from what you just said, I'm gonna replay what you just said, and I will go pick it up just like that, how you said it. So
Okay.
definitely go. I'm gonna go there tomorrow for lunch.
Okay.
So
Sounds
Marietta
good.
for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, thanks again, Bobbie. And anyway, guys, you guys know the handles. Make sure you guys support, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in sharing your experience and you're in the Atlanta area and you want to appear as a guest on the Atlanta Noire Podcast, make sure you guys hit me up, comment below, and let's run it up to 1 million. Quit playing with me. Peace.